better get us at this point. It just means we're live, right?
We're now live to. I don't know where the question. I don't know where the comment section ends up either. Oh, the chat though, presumably.
Okay, as long as you get the chat. Okay, I can see chat. Okay, I guess we start.
Yeah, I've got no idea. I've got no way of knowing how many people are watching from where as well right now. So that's presumably it's just going. If anyone's in the chat right now, please say something so we can see it works.
If not, I think we can just start.
Let me just go to LinkedIn and make sure it is actually working.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah, no, we are live. We're now live on LinkedIn and other places. Thank you for joining us. If anyone's watching right now, I don't know how to see. Oh no, it says at the top left, no one's watching right now, so it's fine. It currently has 0.
Let's go. Like we said, it gives us an hour or two together.
Yeah, exactly. And it's recorded as well. Okay, right. So thank you, Luke, for joining me on this stream that you suggested we do. Before we get started and we start sharing your screen and getting into the proper vibing, what are we going to achieve as part of this video, as part of this stream?
So I think the main thing we want to achieve today, I feel like it needs a lot of history, but yeah, I think the main thing we want to do is be getting some output from these composition layers that I've been creating in C. So basically I've been building a UI pattern and what we call like a DSL kind of language. And we want to be able to see that the composition that I'm building for some of these views then output into a terminal and have the right composition. So when the life cycle of something ends, we shouldn't see it in the debuggable view and see it in the stack.
Right.
So yeah, we're creating this language so that you can program views very easily. But yeah, because we're building this all from scratch and we're making our own kind of DSL interpreter, we need to make sure that this works first, which is probably the hardest part.
Okay.
And this could easily be AI psychosis that's going on. And I'm
okay.
Too
So
much
you might have just it's gone too mad. Okay, well,
but I have had things working before, but I'm going back to the drawing board and making it a bit more abstract, should we say?
Yeah, okay, that's fair. Okay, so let's start off with then. So let's just go through the tech stack quickly. Go through what you're using and kind of why. Like, for example, I know like you're using Claude as the LLM as part of this tech stack, but how does that fit in?
So I mainly use Claude, but I am using Gemini for the research part. So when I want to have larger context and have more of a conversational and assistive kind of AI model, I'll use Gemini for that. So when I'm doing the research parts, I'm normally talking to Gemini to look at, where should we go for research? What should we start looking at?
Yeah.
And then once Gemini's kind of done the research from that, we'll then go into Claude and we'll start planning out how we do that. And on top of all this, we use the Get Shit Started, which is kind of a plugin for Claude. Yeah, get shit done. Is that? I mean, I want to get started. Maybe that's what is get here.
So what is the getting shit done thing as well? Just a quick summary. Obviously, people go to Glitter Cowboy on GitHub to see like the full breakdown.
It basically gives you agents, I think is the best way to describe it. So when you're building things at the moment, I think when you just use Claude, you'll just normally type something into the prompt, and then it'll either start, editing a file, creating a script, and it just does it. It just goes straight into doing things. Whereas the getting shit done kind of gives you loads of different agents that you can talk to, and it kind of gives you this whole framework for building things. So you're making sure that you do research and that you plan things. And all of this is to make sure that when you hit enter on the execution, that you have all the context you need so that it doesn't hallucinate as much
Yes.
when it's in that editing phase, you say.
Cool. Okay, well, let's go over to your machine then.
So I
Beautiful.
think, I think first we can either go into a demo or we can just kind of go into this like paradigm that I've been creating and why I've been creating it, I guess.
I think that's a good idea. Go into the paradigm itself, explain why. Because obviously
Yeah,
you're an experienced developer. You've been developing for many years. A lot of people
dabbling.
see
Yeah,
LLMs as just like a replacement, but it's as you know that it's not. It augments you. So to help this work better, you've created your own paradigm. What is the and just talk us through CELS.
Yeah, so CELS are paradigm that have been coming up to help applicational development and game development. So traditionally, I just find that no matter what application you're building, whether it's a native Android app, whether it's something in Godot, whether it's something in Unreal, there's always this learning curve for each of those things. But then when it comes to using these agents need to know very specific things, right? So they start bloating their context up with how to do things in Kotlin and how to do things in a certain way, or I need an MPC server to understand on how working with Unity, and it's just like all these high level frameworks, and I just feel like it makes it very hard for me as a programmer to program. And the way I've always personally gone is, okay, I want to be more programming, like doing the programming, writing the script. So then it always like comes you can't use Unreal, you can't use Godot, you can't use these tools because you have to use their toolset.
Yeah.
And as a programmer, I'm like, but I know how to program. I know how to put these scenes together and construct things and do it more programmatically. Whereas I think these tools such as game engines kind of make it so.
Well, they're built so that anyone can
get
right. Yeah, and they're made that people can get started quicker. But then, like you say, if you already know how to use development tools, then you've been doing it for years. You don't need that kind of hand holding.
Yeah. So the idea, I guess, I've had is there a way that I can build essentially a scene tree or a structure of what your application represents, and then it's agnostic to an engine, you know what I mean? Like, you'll write wrappers or you'll write functions to then make the engine interpret that. So then you could just be using, Godot's renderer, or you could just be using some of their physics and stuff like this. And then you kind of just have the framework itself implement those. So then you can say, okay, now it supports Godot, it supports Unreal, it supports, just terminal applications. But the main thing I want to focus on is that forefront of like, how can you build these applications so that you have one framework, I guess, every single time. You can always build it in that, and then it doesn't matter what your application is going to be. It doesn't matter whether it's just going to be a terminal app, or it doesn't matter whether it's going to be a full game that's rendered in Godot. So yeah, I think I just wanted to come up with that paradigm. So rather than like Godot, like building like your JSON or your XML that represents structures and prefabs and blueprints and stuff like that, that you could represent that as code and do something that's very traditional in like Kotlin and Compose. Like Kotlin and Compose, you actively program, or you could program these essentially like view components, and everything's reusable. And this essentially is what they call like a DSL. So it's kind of a language and an interpreter. And then I've been viewing, I'm going to link it here if we can link it into the chat. A lot of this has been heavily inspired by someone called Nick Baker, who does a lot of like C sort of. I'll just find his channel.
And we have our first comment, which is, "Yo, this Tasha's guy is a fucking genius," from Cully Singh.
Do we know what that means? Can you be a bit more?
I think they're saying that the man who belongs to the mustache is a genius.
Oh, thank you. Lovely. How do I enter things into the chat?
Can you see chat? You should better just paste into
I can see chat, but I can't paste into chat.
Oh, maybe only I can paste into chat. Okay, you put it in. Can you edit the notes? Can you add it to the notes and I can add it into the chat?
I don't know. I can see private chat. Okay,
Send it
paste
in the
that in the
private
chat
chat.
for me. So there's a guy called Nick Baker, and he's built this kind of DSL language for C so that you can build UI really easily. And then that kind of plugs into stuff like SDL3 and certain things. So it makes it really easy to build your UI once and then reuse it in any renderer that you want. So it's kind of following that premise. So,
so let's walk through the 4 steps to it.
The 4, yeah. So, in essence, what I've broken it down to is 4 main things. So, it is composition. So, this is the building of your prefab or your blueprint. Like, what represents that kind of entity? You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then you have the entity itself, which is comprised of components, and this can be all your data for whatever's in there. You have life cycle, which kind of controls the life cycle of those compositions. So let's say you only want the process to run in certain areas. Let's say you're on a menu, and as soon as you go from the graphics menu to another menu, okay, the life cycle of that graphics menu should now be destroyed. So you're kind of looking at its life cycle, and then you have systems, and systems are essentially ways to update the data and query entities at certain places. So, and then it becomes very traditional in games programming. You have like a system that's doing the update calls and doing all your updates. You'll have a system that's doing the physics. So every time you have a physics frame, that calls the system to run on certain physics loops. So you'll have your systems, and those will basically inform the game state or the data state inside some of those entities. So this altogether, I think, has allowed me to do things in a more programmatic manner,
right?
In a sense. So I can do all this in essentially one C file, and then Godot knows how to ingest that, and from there, it can then render everything and build the entities rather than using standard scene tree. Own systems. Paradigm like EC component system, but it just builds a little bit on top of that as well. And yeah, I kind of called it CELS because I think it makes sense. It's the composition, it's entities, it's life cycle, it's systems, and yeah, I think at the moment I've mainly done a Godot implementation, and it's very specific just for Godot. And I want, like we were talking about earlier, is I want it to be abstracted a little bit more, so then any framework such as Godot can be plugged into it.
Yeah.
So then later on, okay, like I could build a main menu scheme. Technically, I can render that in anything. You know what I mean? Like the data is structured in the same way, the systems are running in the same way. Okay, how do you just want to present that data? And you can kind of do that. So again, this has all been a little hobby-esque project, should we say? But the more you use AI for programming, the more I found it's helpful to have like the less context you use. So by using smaller models like this, to say it's only got to think about like entity composition and all these things, it can write things very modular. So I found it very good at being that. Yeah. So outside of that, so basically when an object is instantiated in their C trees, I'll then have this compose function, and there I'll start adding all my components at once. And then it feels a bit backwards sometimes. And then you're not in the editor all the time, you're in the code, right?
Yep.
So then I just get to create these little classes. I can say what it's composed of, what its components are. From there, I can create the relationship between those Godot objects and where it sits within my components. And then I have the systems themselves that run. And then you register it. So I think if we go to... Where is Godot? So this is Godot itself. So let's load up. So I've got a little first-person controller. As you can see, it's got like head bar your bob when you turn left and right. We've got jump. We've got crouch. And all of this has been programmed using basically getting shit done and using Claude.
Right.
And again, rather than it being aware of all these things Godot, it's just aware of how CELS work and how it does composition. And then from there, you get to be more programmatic with how you're building things. And then some of the nice tools that you have, just come out of this. It's Q. Where are we? So if we come to the player itself, so we've still allowed it so that inside here, that all the information that we've technically been building from the programmatic side has still come through to the editor so that you can see them. So let's say you want to modify player speed whilst you're running around and testing the app, you can still do that. But again, like rather than creating a new object every single time or a new class in Godot every single time, I basically just have this composition that I can add, and then the engine itself knows how to go and read these compositions and add the components and build the entities and start running the systems. And yeah, I basically found that using this, I've been able to build this first-person controller without it really needing to understand Godot.
Nice. Which is kind of the whole point, isn't it? Is that it's agnostic, so it doesn't need to know it inside out to be able to make those changes.
There's that, and then there's the whole thing of like, okay, you've got to use loads of context for it to be aware of Godot and how Godot works. And then that's where you get all these new NPC servers come from and stuff like that. And I feel like it's in trying to solve a problem rather than going back to the drawing board and be like, okay, how do you make something easier for these agents to program and understand? And how would you give them as little context as possible? Because as soon as you start going into object orientation programming, like it just gets huge, right? And how many times have you started building an app and then the code just gets so bloated, should we say?
I guess that's more for anyone watching, because as someone who isn't a developer, or we worked together in software development, and I was not one of your people.
You found flaws in my code all the time. You know what I mean? I think being a tester and engineer, the friendships are hard to be had.
Yeah, and that's why I had to leave the industry, so that me and you could still have our friendship and our love for each other.
Yeah, okay, great.
Okay, so you mentioned at the start, but we've actually got people watching now. So just say quickly again before we get into it and before we start doing the stuff. What is it we're gonna just do in this stream and just show to anyone watching?
Mm-hmm.
The creator here. Oh, well,
Oh, thank you very much for being here. Wow.
Oh.
Hang on. My alarm's going off in my...
Okay, well, we're having technical difficulties for a second. Are you good?
I mean, that's what happens when... Yeah, we're good. Just a fire downstairs. Okay, with that, I think thank you very much for the tool. It's been amazing to be using and looking at how things go. And I think the one addition I normally do to this is, like, whilst I'm building things out, I'll have Get Lazy loaded up. So then I can see all the changes and everything that's been going on with Claude and in my session. And then it kind of becomes what people are familiar with in the cursor. So I think in cursor, you kind of get to see the changes, you get to accept the changes and see what's going on. So I've just found that, hey, using the Get Shit Done library, and then on top of that, using Get Lazy, I'm really being able to see what's going on. And because this tool's so good at creating these commits all the time, it's so easy to review. So I think it's been super beneficial for using it like this. But yeah, I'm kind of in the in the mix of a deep problem at the moment. I think before, when we were talking about building the CELS paradigm so that you can make it a lot easier for these agents to understand what they're building, and they don't have to have, context of Godot or Unreal or any other things. It's just like, hey, here's this DSL language that's really easy to build. So we're actually in the middle of rebuilding this DSL language, this DSL framework, should we say, which I think in itself is So the 2E panel on the left is Git Lazy. And Git Lazy is just a great terminal app for being able to look at all the Git commits that we've been making. So if I can go through here, I can see what's been going on, I can see what's going, and I can see the changes it's been making each time. So it's been really good to understand the state of things and what those changes are. So that if I don't like something, and maybe it's, through the planning phase or through certain things, I can say, hey, in this document I've seen that you just made for the planning phase, can we change it to this? So it gives me great state aware of what's being changed. So I think it's really helpful for that. And with that, I think we can ask and answer some more questions. I think I'd like confirmation if we are in a AI psychosis too much by creating our own DSL language, because I think that's my concern.
But I think your concern for you is now is that you've just got off the deep end and now now it's being peer reviewed.
It doesn't bother me too much because again, with this tool I get to concretely go through each step of what I'm building. You know what I mean? Normally when you don't use this tool, it's like, hey, I want to go and make my own DSL framework. Hey, go do these things. And then it just fakes loads of things. It doesn't break down the problem and it doesn't help you do the research. So I guess the reason I feel like so confident to go and build something that's quite big and abstract and not many people do is because I feel like I can step through every part, verify what's going on, and really define what it is we're building.
Yeah.
I think outside of that, I think the main thing I'm trying to do at the moment is so I built the interpreter, should we see? So I have my composition layer where let's see if you can see. Let's bring it up. So recent CELS. So the main thing I've been building at the moment is this the best one to show off? So yeah, I think this is a good demonstration of what we're kind of building. So we'll use C in order to build basically like a main menu in a UI. So we have this composition layer. Inside these compositions, we have components. So it's made of a layout. It's got a slider. It's got a button. And then we have the state that it's remembering. So I guess to start high level is I built the menu and how I want this language to look. Yeah. And then from there, we're going to get Claude to actually build the interpreter and then make it so this becomes a language you can actually use. You know what I mean? That's kind of the plan, and we'll see where we go. But yeah, then this is a good look at how we're defining things. So we have a system. This system is used for managing our click inputs, so we can change the color, we can change the values, and then obviously this means that the menu state is changed. So then when the menu state changes, we come back to the composition layers and we go through. So this is very, very similar if you've used Compose before and you've done this type of app development before. So yeah, you're kind of composing and doing composition for your view or your scene tree. And then from there, what is enabled and what has a life cycle within those entities are then controlled all through code, you know what I mean? And you're not stepping through a load of functions and doing the object-oriented programming, I think is what you'd call it. Cool. But yeah, strong what do we say, mission. But again, because everything started, phasing things out and building milestones for what I think we need here, and as an engineer that's done this before, I think it's good to know that, oh, okay, I agree with that phase. Okay, I agree with this research. So you always feel like you're going in the right direction, even though it's a big thing. You know what I mean? And like we say, I'd like to think that I don't have AI psychosis, but at the same time, I think this has been going well, and this tool has been really helping me develop those things. And like I said, the Godot sample that I did, where I created the first-person controller, I think we kind of did that in like one weekend. and that got super simple once I had all the composition layer set up and everything. So again, like, yeah, not once does a model aware of Godot. It's just aware of composition entities and systems.
So what you're
So
saying is that you've got constant positive or negative feedback are both welcome throughout the stream based on what you're doing.
Okay, well that's great. So the other thing that's great about this tool is you're always clearing your context. So basically, being able to clear your context all the time is just making sure that you're kind of always getting the most out of the model, because you do kind of get this what they call context rot, right? Like it's got too much information and it's just not really, as I say, surfacing the answers you want, and it's kind of hallucinating too much because it wants to get there as quick as possible, not to use more context. So this really helps with those context problems as well. So you're just making sure that, again, you're doing things in bite-sized loops, and you're always clear on the context. So the next thing we want to do, and I've not started anything on this phase, is we're essentially building like a fake engine in the background to power this system. So rather than implementing the Godot and Unreal right now, I just want to create a fake backend that would just make the systems work at like 60 FPS. And then I can start updating states. And then once we kind of have this fake backend, we'll be able to see that when we build this composition and we've built this menu, that you'd see it in the backend of like, oh, okay, I can see everything is composed properly. Or when state changes, you know, hey, this entity should be removed. So then we can start checking to see if this DSL works correctly. So I'm going to clear the context, and as John's rightfully put in the top right-hand corner, there's kind of 4 main phases I'll use this for, which is research, planning, execution, and review. So we're going to start the research phase of this first. So if we clear the context, so let's do /GSL, and then we can research phase. So we'll research phase 4. So what this is going to go after, this is going to look at all the context of what we've started building before, and it would start putting this context into other files, so that because we've cleared the context, it will start reading from those files again. I'll be like, okay, I'm researching, doing a fake engine in the background, and I need to create a system that's going to go and run at 60 FPS so that we can start loading all these things. So we're just going to go off and we're going to do some research. One thing I like about this is when it's doing it, this is normally great times to go and grab some water, go and grab a coffee, like I don't always have to be glued into the problem. So it's going to go off, it's going to read these. Yep.
We'll take this moment as well for me to say that. So I was using the get shit done stuff recently, just making a little like local app just to kind of help me with things. I haven't really been clearing the context much at all. And you mentioned this yesterday while we were planning this call, or in front, I was like, oh shit, have I been doing something very wrong here? So for me, because I'm like I said, I've worked software development, but I'm not a developer. I've been kind of, I've got some baseline knowledge, but very much I'm, not that person. What is wrong with it? What is the kind of the technical reason for regularly clearing the context then, as well as just kind of, you said like context rot? What does that manifest as? What does that look like to you as a developer?
I've normally found that it's like that naive, developer that just wants to give you an answer straight away. So I find like the less context it can use or can serve up or wants to serve up, it just jumps to the conclusion,
Yeah.
So research work, not phase. What number is we 7?
From Lex, the creator of GSD, saying out of interest, why are we using GSD research phase rather than simply GSD plan phase?
Why?
Yeah.
So research, I've actually been finding that it's been helpful to be using Gemini. So research is more like, hey, I don't want to make my assumption here on saying like, hey, I know how something works. Let's go off and start, planning it together. I want to do the research because I want to make sure it's got enough context about certain documentation or certain blogs or, transcripts I've downloaded from YouTube. So either sometimes I'll use Gemini or I'll find my own documents and put it in a research folder. And then when I get it to do the research, it's just building up a lot of context about later on when it might be making decisions and it might need to plan things out, it can go, oh, I know a lot of this is inspired by Compose, or I know a lot of this stuff's inspired by Nick Baker. So, hey, I have that research to kind of know the helpful things that are there. So, sometimes it slows things down a little bit, but just doing that research, I think, is just making sure that I'm getting 100% the right context in before I start planning it, so that then it's not going to ask loads of questions, because the plan is essentially, how it's going to implement, and it's not doing the why am I implementing it. So I find the research, we're defining the whys and backing up why we're going to start doing it, I guess. So yeah, I always like to do research. I didn't do it with this one, but most of the time I'll use Gemini for the research phase of things, just because it has that larger context, right? So when you can have up to 1 million, plan phase is now research planning. Oh, okay, go get a proper cup of tea. Oh, okay, that's great. So we're saying we could just use plan phase, and then in that plan phase, it's going to start doing these things as well. Okay.
It is really useful to have the founder of GSD in here to give us guidance.
Well, yeah, and yeah, amazing. I think so. The one reason I do like the fact of why research and planning is broken up is because I will use Gemini for my research phase, and then I'll use Claude itself for the planning. So because again, you got that large context window that you can have within Gemini, you can really surface a lot more context into these research documents. But yeah, completely. I think there are some times where a task doesn't need research. So I think it'd be good to know, hey, you can just go straight into planning. Like, hey, we have enough information, we have enough data there to go and do it. So let's see what it's doing. Okay, so I always like this. So it's going through the requirements. So these are the requirements that I built up earlier before we started this. And it's basically to build this fake engine in the background. We want to be able to have frame loops simply simulating 60 FPS. The backend interface, so again, like all this DSL framework is done in C, so that you can program everything in C. And then we're just going to be debugging some of the entities so that we know the state of the ECS system. And then from there, we have our success criteria. Like, hey, how are we, as an engineer now, knowing that what the agent has done is the thing we want?
Yeah.
Can you make all these notes as well? I feel like having the creator here has just been amazing. So I feel like there's a few things we can take offline and start looking into. So skip research if you want to manually skip research. I think one thing I did notice about using, because the great thing about getting shit done now is you can link it into OpenCode, Claude, and Gemini. But for some reason, and this could be my own usage more than, but I've just found that when it comes to using sub-agents within Gemini, it kind of freezes. So I've been finding like, oh, hey, it's gone off to go and do some research as a sub-agent, and then I get no response from Gemini. So I don't know whether the tools working a little bit differently in Gemini and not giving like success criteria back to this agent. But yeah, I've found that at the moment Gemini has not been able to be doing the sub tool, is it? No, the sub agent correctly. Yeah. But I found OpenCode to work pretty well, as long as I've got a model that has the ability to do tooling. So again, I know a lot of the time people just want to like rush through, click yes, but like reading the information that's coming back from us becomes very beneficial. So free layout architecture, so you got a C API, you've got your C++ core, so that's doing the actual DSL interpretation, and then you have your backends, which will be plugins. So you could have a backend for TUI, you could have a backend for Godot. So it's understanding all those, and then yeah, let's just go and build a fake engine, so we can start seeing lots of information. So
you're saying about people saying yes, because that is like I think a lot of what people expect from this and from vibe code, use LLMs for coding, is that people they kind of want to click go, walk away, go out for a meal, come back, and software's developed. Whereas as a developer, that's not how you approach it, I guess, because that's not, you want to know what's actually going on and what decisions are being made.
Well, and I think this is the the empowerment of using these tools is, hey, me as an engineer has been engineering for, I don't want to say how many years now. how many years ago did we start
Well,
working
I've known
together?
you for 10 years about now,
Okay, so at
so
least
longer than that.
15, yeah, 18 years. I think we're closing in
By
on.
the way, this comment here, it says linked in you, but that is Kyle, who we both used to work with, saying nice to see you guys still vibing. So
Oh, that's great.
thanks, Kyle, if you're
Carl's,
watching.
yeah, Carl's
Lovely to
kind of
see
the
you.
reason we ended up
Shout out.
working together.
Yeah,
'cause
true,
we were
yeah.
working on the same time through Carl's team. So yeah, I think something to remember is just like not just blindly accepting things. It's like, hey, what's the point in doing pull requests in GitHub if the engineer that reviews the code that's just been done just automatically gets approved? You know what I mean? Like, and so again, like this has become more of a tool set rather than, hey, it does it. Have a great night, Lex. Thanks for
joining us, Lex. Have a good night.
So yeah, I think we'll see where we get to this, but yeah, it's just going to go off and do this research now. So yeah, the reason I'll always have Git just on the left hand side. So once it's done this research, I'll be able to look through that whole context file that it's created for research, and I'll be able to see what research it's got, what decisions it might start making. Because before we just go off planning, I want to make sure that the research kind of reflects the paradigm or the thought of what I want for the feature we're making. Because I think, again, this is like, if you're just accepting everything really quickly, if you just boldly and blindly follow the agent, like, hey, I'm going to go and do all these things, yeah, sometimes you might have missed it. It's gone off to a URL, pulled something, and now it's like, oh, this is my thought pattern. And then you're like, oh, no, I didn't want you to do that. Oh, no, I didn't want you to do that. You know what I mean? So I think rather than spending 2 hours writing a great prompt, I think going through this and just checking what it's doing and validating it and just updating it with thoughts, I think empowers you as a developer, but then, puts these tools to use. It's not, hey, just go make it, and it's going to make everything for you.
I think it makes sense. Being more granular, you got to build a house brick by brick, and it doesn't. The problem with spending 2 hours writing a prompt is that then you spend the next 2 hours trying to work out why the first prompt didn't work properly, and then you got to do it all again. And whereas this, you go bit by bit, and like you say, it's all getting into Git, so you can see exactly what's going, and you can revert back, and you've got it. It's all a record. You can easily go, oh, at this point here it stopped working, or this point here we went in the wrong directions. We can go back to this.
Yeah, and to go in that, like, if you're just doing that casual prompting, I find that's where you start running out of the context, right? So it's like, oh, by the time I feel like I've got it onto that right track and that right path, and I'm, okay, it's doing the things I want it to do now. It's like, hey, we need to go and do a compact. And I think that just always makes me nervous, because I'm like, oh, is it going to forget something that it kind of has there? Is it when it does that compact, now things are going to be too small for it to remember? You know what I mean? Like, is there something that I said that just wasn't captured? So I think, so again, it just breaks everything down into very simplistic problems, should we say, and very simple, hey, follow these rules. And yeah, for the things that I've created using this tool, I've never had a bad time. Whereas I feel like when I've just blindly been doing it by myself, it's taken a lot of iterations, and then as an engineer myself, I'm like, I don't know all that code that's in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's been a great way to just kind of see those things and see what's going on. But okay, still thinking, still going to do its research. I think, yeah, now, any more questions? Anything else you want to know about why we're doing things? Or I can go into some more samples of these composition layers that I've been building.
So I've got a quick question actually before, unless any questions come from the chat, but why are you coding in C? Obviously, it's people have different preferences and stuff. And what is that conscious thing, or is it just because of Godot, or why is it?
So I think with C you get a lot less boilerplate boilerplate. As soon as you go into C++ and things become more object orientated, I feel like there's a lot more that these agents need to think about, maybe. But I think from a readability standpoint, I mean, if you look at this, like I feel like it's very readable. So I've just found that building with C has made things a little bit more readable for me. And the fact, like, I don't need to go and check some headers here. I don't need to, like, everything's in one file, which is kind of, I think, helpful for the agents. But more personal preference. I guess for me, if I know it's done in C, I know it can go anywhere. So I know, like, hey, okay, I can go and compile this and run it on an Android phone. I can go compile this and run it anywhere, you know. So for me, it's making sure that any fun project I want to make in my own time, okay, I can follow the same paradigm. I can write it in C, and then from there go off and I think we can build for anything. Okay, so it's finished its research. So again, it's given you a good description in here, but what I will want to do is when I come to the files, I swear there's one. Nope. Has it committed it yet? Okay, so if I come to this top commit now, so this is exactly what it just committed. So we have this research segment. And now what I can do is I can read all that research and I can read all the context that's going to go into my planning phase and make sure that, hey, this covers what I want, or oh no, hey, you've gone off on a bit of a tangent in these things. And again, some people might be saying, well, you're really slowing this down by doing so much. Like, as a programmer, you could have just programmed a lot of this. But I think for complex problems, especially for writing this whole DSL thing, like, we need to do a lot of validation checks. So, let's say you're using this tool to learn programming. By doing this research and reading through this research, in essence, you're being taught of its thought pattern, you know?
Yeah.
So even though you might not want to be so corrective all the time, at least you understand the decisions the model's going to make in order to go and build something.
That's it. So you as a like I said, a seasoned 15-year developer, you'll read this and you might go, actually, this bit, let's do something else instead, or let's do this, and you can make decisions there. For someone like me, for example, I wouldn't necessarily know a better option, but at the same time is that it means that later on I'll know why things happened, and so it means that you can create better software, or at least understand. Like you say, well, if you're learning this and you're getting it, because the more you understand, the more decisions you can make in the future. So it helps you learn that, right?
Yeah, and I think the something you hit real well there, which is like the documentation part of this, like, especially with fun projects like this, like anyone knows, like the documentation part of things for me, I'm like, I don't like, I've been writing the code, you know what I mean, and I've been getting the code working. And now to go and kind of document everything does become, that heavy lift that I know most developers are just not sometimes.
People won't do it, especially for a hobbyist program. You won't do it because you don't have time to do it, and don't have the motivation, and then you come back to it 6 months later and wish you had. Whereas doing it this way means that you don't fall into that same trap.
Yeah, and so, it helps me because I know what it's building and I have the reference for that, but it also helps the AI. So it's just like, when we built this feature, when we built this fake engine before, well, that doesn't make, okay, now we want to make a real one. How do we want to go from there, So let's see what it's saying. So use Flex's built-in set target FPS. So this is going to handle the delta times for us. So I think Flex is kind of what's running under the hood. So it's this entity component system. So you can take all this composition. I can then push that all into either whether it's going to be an entity component or system. And then Flex kind of handles a lot of that for us. So it's got this built-in way to set a delta time so that you can have the systems running. Backend interface, the C function pointer, avoid C++ virtual functions. Debug output, use Flex observers on add and remove for identity lifecycle events, not component hooks. So I think this is what it's just saying is, So later on, when we want to start testing this, it's going to basically attach onto these events so that we know when entities have been removed and added. So that like when we're doing these compositions, if we know, oh, I actually set the life cycle to be, for the whole app state, but for some reason it's being destroyed here, you can measure that output here. So state changes extent cells state change to callback to debug notification. I don't know whether that's the best decision to make. Like, it seems to be very heavily focused on debugging, right?
Right.
And I'm like, no, we actually got a debugger later on that I'm building.
So how do you now then, if you want to change that plan, is it just changing the markdown file?
So, yeah, I could either change the markdown file myself, right? And then once we're ready to plan the phase, it'll just read that as a normal file and go, okay, this is all my context I need. Or because I have not used so much context to research, I can now just say in this conversation, be like, no, wait, I feel like, so like, let's not just jump into it. Let's just say, hey, I feel like we are debugging more than just setting up a fake engine which is responsible for system phases. Yeah, I think that's the main thing it needs to do. So it doesn't need to do much. Later on, we will create a debugger using Flex to understand the state and entities. For now, yes, we should just print out when things have been added, removed, and debug in the fake engine our phases, such as update. Okay, come on for open questions for plan. Okay, great. So like it's done this research, but it's saying like, hey, there's still some ambiguity here. So it's saying observer granularity, any specific marker components, backend registry or CELS run. So okay, this is a great question because I've not thought about like, hey, how are these backends going to initialize with this DSL, right? Because like every engine, Godot, Unreal sets up completely different, and they normally manage the life cycle. Okay, so backend registration. So normally game engine as Godot and Unreal will manage. What will they manage? The registration, because they manage, what would you say, like application lifecycle and window management. This is what we want to fake. So this means we need a simple way to register Godot, Unreal, and our fake engine. Yeah, okay, so I'm just saying like, hey, the backend registration, I don't want to be too, I I'll say defined, but I think it should just be very simple so that any other engine can initialize it.
Yeah.
And then from there, once it's initialized, all it's going to start doing is essentially just binding itself to Flex so that it knows when entities are changed. So like, hey, our composition layer is looking after the scene tree. When something changes, the engine knows like, hey, something's been added, something's been removed. Okay, now we can do engine-specific things there and in those.
Yeah.
So, fake engine stop condition, frame, time limit, external signal. Okay, this is a great question. So, like, let's say when we start the app, the terminal's going to load up, right? And it's just going to print fake frames. Like, how are we going to cancel out of this? I mean,
Yep.
I'd say the fake engine should have limited keyboard input. So, escape will cancel it. Yeah, that seems good.
Yep, that makes sense. That's
okay.
Yeah.
So again, I would. I think for the sake of the stream, again, these summaries are normally pretty good enough. But okay, like this is something that wasn't covered in this output in here in the research. It's gone through. Hey, what's the project structure going to go and look like for this, right? So the fake engine, which is good. Okay, got right. The fake engine is going to be in C++. So these frameworks, these plugins, will be in C++ and be more object oriented, but the front-facing API will be C. So it knows it's a CPP file. Where did I go? What the? Okay.
Smooth.
So again, yeah, that I didn't see that in the original description. I like it. But again, here, like, do you know AI will put files anywhere and everywhere sometimes, right?
Yeah.
This, I'm like, okay, I know it's going to go and put the file before it creates it, or I know the file name it's going to create. Because the amount of times where it goes and creates 5 different files, and I'm like, oh, I don't like that folder structure, or oh, I don't like that file name. Can we change that file name? Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, this is very well. I want to describe this backend more. Can we talk? Can we also? And this is why I normally like Gemini for this, because it would have larger context and it's really good at being aware of those. So that's my mistake. But yeah, I'm like, okay, I want to talk about the CELS backend. I need more visual aid, like a diagram, to show how this will call. Well, this will plug into other frameworks, such as Godot, Fake Engine, Unreal. Okay. Okay. Again, it's done a lot. Why do you keep doing this to me? So it's done a lot of hey, Fake Engine backend. Like, at this point in the project as well, do we really want to be defining this right now? Like, again, all we really want to be doing was 60 FPS and just faking some frame cores so that we can essentially make the frame timing for Flex work. So just looking at this, CELS run with backend, CELS run with backend doesn't, to me, feel like the fake engine is pushing those frames.
So you put CELS with backend, it might get confused.
Where's that?
Wherever it says CELS with rather than runs with.
I found it's pretty good. Like from my
I think, yeah,
perspective,
most
I've
time,
given
yeah,
it
like, you
some
know,
bad spelling sometimes, and it's made it
I've
out.
watched you do this before, and
Um,
it's very intuitive. I think that was a word I thought might have been a key word there. Also, I dropped a bit of
yeah.
biscuit, so if you saw me look on the floor, then I was trying to find where that bit of biscuit went because it's a chocolate biscuit. I want to get
Hmm.
in the carpet, so bear with me a second.
Yeah, so it's doing a lot of component hooks. Um, I want us to we still to think about how this engine works. It should only print entities when added and removed. Um, Run systems. Okay, I think that's it. Because that's a lot to give it already. So again, like we're only in the research phase,
Yeah,
and I'm making sure that it's going in the right direction. Like I just feel like a lot of these hooks and how it's hooking into what I deem the back end. It seems like there's a whole interface there. So I'm like, why do I want a whole interface to go in with these frameworks? Like everything's going to be compiled together. Actually,
yeah.
that's a great point. That's uh, that's a great point. These this seems very interface heavy, and the backends, those frameworks, can be compiled into the library. Do we need such interface, or can we make it easier? Yeah, it just feels like we're setting ourselves up for success, because let's say later on we've defined an API and an interface for this backend, and then Godot is like, oh, this is how, you know, this is how our engine works, and now you have to go and define an interface for that. It's just like, no, I think the I don't think there should be an interface, to be honest, but there should be some way that we can easily go from, you know, these engine calls to this. So we'll see what it comes up with. But yeah, well, I mean, we're an hour in and we're still doing research, but
We need to
honestly,
get questions.
I prefer it. So what it's saying. So okay.
Also, if you have any questions in the chat at all, anyone watching, any questions about what we're doing or how we're doing it, and that, just pop a comment in. Luke will answer the question, and I'm here too.
So okay. So key insight: who owns the loop? So the engines such as Godot, Unreal own the loop and drive system phases. Okay. So we got the engines, cells, frame, shutdown. I don't like that it's called like cells frame, you know?
Why not?
I think it's just more the naming convention, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
it thinks CELS is more what we're doing rather than how we're doing it.
Great point. So, yeah, rather than cells in it and cells frame, I think it should be named something to do with like the doing, right? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
We are implementing a engine backend. So then the interface should be something like that, right? You init the backend, and then you have a frame that you can call each time.
It does make me think, though, by calling it CELS, it does make me think that it kind of maybe is misunderstood slightly what CELS is to the process, potentially. It seems like it's
Well,
immediately...
I think it just, yeah, it feels like it's kind of like, and I guess it is the library name, but yeah, I think it thinks it's the everything. I mean, and so I don't think this interface is 100% correct right now. I can change another date, but what it is right now is it's three simple things, right? It's it's an init, it's a frame, it's a shutdown. How much simpler is that than the original design where it tried doing everything? And you had, I think you had two classes for the interfaces. So responsibility, it's fake engine, print, push frames, yeah. Okay, so it's not the fake engine jobs to do the component inspector, state visualization, entity hierarchy display, live parameter editing. Yes, okay. Does this feel right? The backend isn't necessarily a plug-in interface, it's just Real Engine's the core CELS frame from their existing loop. Yeah. Because then because I think what you're saying then is, okay, I can initialize CELS just as a library inside any engine, just do initialize, and then just have a component, and then just those update frames I'm getting from that component, I can then shove into this engine. This looks really good. Thank you. Well, so be nice to our AIs, right? Like,
no, don't be nice to AI. They're not people. They're just, it's software. Don't be polite to software.
No, please. Like,
don't be polite to software. It's software. There's no reason to be polite. There's no reason to say please or thank you. Just give it instructions. It's not a fucking actual virtual reality butler that's actually got a personality. It's just software. It doesn't, don't try and humanize it. They've already given it a name with Claude. Don't say please and thank you to AI.
I because I feel like if it's trained on its usage and it's trained on data, and if it's trained on everyone being rude as
it's already trained. It's already trained on Reddit, so we're all fucked anyway. There's no way you're not going to make a difference by saying thank you. It's trained off the worst, the most horrific hate you've ever seen. It's probably read X. It's gonna be. It's doomed anyway. Don't. You're not gonna scratch the surface.
Okay, I love this. Okay.
So we are moving on to planning now. Is this where we're at? Are we?
Yeah. So I think we're going to go into planning. But what I'm going to say,
click your fingers, and I'll change the graphic as you click your fingers.
No.
I'll wait till you do. Okay.
Would like an API. Okay. So now we get to be very, very clear on what we want our API functions to be, right? Like it keeps saying CELS startup, CELS progress, CELS shutdown, and I'm like, no, I think it should be engine startup and engine process. But so look at this. So this fake engine that it was originally going to go make has now been cut down to 6-7 lines of code, which is essentially what I'm thinking. Like, I just need to fake something so that I can start seeing that my DSL interpreter is working. And then I'm like, okay, I'm happy, I'm comfortable. I've seen a metric, I've seen output. Okay.
Which I do kind of think it emphasizes the point of the narrative that, like right now, is that an AI developer can replace developers. Because you can't, because the reason why it's only 7 lines is because you have worked with it. And with your expertise, you've gotten to the point now where you can tell it to do that. Whereas, if I was doing this, I wouldn't know to say what it was doing wrong, and therefore it'd still have done the original thing. It'd still have had 2 classes, etc. So it's
and then you might have ended up with way more code than you need. You know,
it's testament to how powerful it can be when it's combined with genuine expertise and experience.
I mean, I'd love to switch my old engineering brain on and be like, hey, if I thought about this, could I have wrote these 6 lines of code in the last hour and 3 minutes?
You reckon you could?
Yes. Because you would have said by definition as an engineer, like, hey, this is the one thing I want to do. This is the one function that I'm going to go. But what we have now is we have so much documentation on the decisions we've made and why we're making them, so that what I've just programmed as an engineer, I know is fit for purpose a little bit longer, has a little bit more longevity to it. You
Yeah.
know, how many times do we as engineers write something, and then we finish the feature and go, oh, I just wish I had time to rewrite it, because if I could rewrite it, I could structure this so much better, right?
I mean, we worked in production software development teams in our careers for like about 30 years combined, and we know how much of that is, oh, we'll come back to this later on, happens, and then never happens, because you can't, because when you're further down the line, you can't justify it.
That's true. I think they make it pretty good at Google. Like you can put together why things might need doing, and then it will go to the
I
right
never
people.
worked somewhere as good as Google, so I didn't experience that.
Okay, so I think we're getting real close to finishing the research.
Okay.
So, okay, perfect. So it's created a backend document architecture. So before I was just saying like, hey, like we have a really good descriptor of how the backend's working. Can you just put this into a file? So it's gone into my docs and it's just created a file, and it's just giving me this thing that I can look over and just remember. Okay, what are the decisions we made about building this? And I don't have to go look through all my research. I'm like, hey, like this is the one thing that I really liked about what we've just built and done the research for. That's how I want it to work. Okay, go and put it in a document so I can read it and digest it as a human later on.
Yeah.
So you have the engine startup loop. Okay. Yes, this fake engine should also just be a terminal application for now. Yeah, that sounds good. This should also be a terminal application for now. Let's.
It doesn't need to be anymore, right? That's the whole point.
No, but I'm not seeing anywhere where it's like, hey, I'm going to create a 2E or I'm going to create this. So I want to be a bit more explicit, but it was super close. But again, like now we come to the planning phase, and the planning phase for me is just like, hey, how are we going to implement this?
Yeah.
How are we going to go and build an interface that can go and talk to Flex? How are we going to build the engine? So I think once we've done this, so I mean, at the moment you can see I've used about 32% of my context for this research phase.
Yeah.
Isn't too much. But let's say we wanted to go and start implementing this now. Pretty soon you're going to start losing your context. You're going to start building all these files. So plan phase 7 is next. So clear, we're going to clear our contexts.
Okay.
We're going to plan. So then we're going to do GSD plan phase 7. Yeah, it was 7, right? 7. Yeah, 7. Okay.
I hope you've got notes there, otherwise you just...
Okay. Look what's on the left-hand side. So I've got all my work trees. So I know we've just been working on number 7.
Yeah. Nice.
So again, like I've always found... Because I think cursor is helpful for kind of seeing everything that's going on in your project, and these command line tools don't really give you much outside of the context that you're actually working with them in them. So I found that, again, this Git, this lazy Git has been a great way for me to see what's going on. So,
yeah.
Okay. Complete. Research is comprehensive, but plans are minimal placeholders that lack replan. I think it's saying it hasn't started the plan.
But you were telling it to start the plan.
Mm-hmm. But I think Gino was saying earlier, research and planning has gone together. I think it's gone to start the...
So it assumes it's done the planning already because it's done the research already.
Yeah. Replan, but do not modify.
You've written replace, not replan. Again, I won't correct most of your things, but I will happily, as your bit of pair programming, research. I will point out when you've used a word that will change the entire meaning of the sentence.
Yeah, context is important for these things.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that'll be good. Replan, but do not. When did it do the plan?
But it didn't do the plan.
I think, yeah, I think this is before the session. I think I'd started planning things out. And then be like, no,
Right.
actually, this might be a good thing to start talking about because then we
So,
get to start from scratch.
so from the
Um,
documentation, it has the information that planning was started, but not that there's a plan. So it's now getting confused.
yeah, and then we've just spent all that time doing the research, but now it's just like, oh, but there's a plan here already. Why do I need to go and look at the context of research to build a plan?
Yep.
Okay, so now it's planning. It's spawning the planner. This is the great thing about it now. So you'll see when it does this GSD planner, it's kind of spawning these sub-agents so that it can kind of do multiple things at once, you can see.
Yep.
So it's looking pretty good.
I never found the bit of biscuit that I dropped, by the way, just so if anyone in the chat is wondering and worrying about that, I haven't found it, so...
Yeah, the Hoover or the dog will find it.
Oh, no, the dog can't find it. It's a chocolate biscuit. I can't poison the dog. Okay. I will, with dignity, get on the floor and try and find the bit of biscuit that I lost.
Yeah.
Please say in the chat while I am...
No, I'm in the middle of planning.
Let's be honest, Claude is in the middle of planning. You're watching him.
I'm just going to play my game. Why should you do that then?
That's not a very entertaining stream.
Yeah, it's right. You found it? You happy?
I found the bit of biscuit. It's fine.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm hopeful of as well is because we spent so much time doing the research, that we're going to look over the planning part of this. That will go quickly, and then we'll go to the execution, and then the review. We'll actually get to have some fun, and we'll get to see some things working.
Yeah. Which I guess is the whole point, isn't it? It all should make the next stage run a lot faster because the research is the top heavy bit because that's finding out the information it needs. Whereas this is now okay.
Yeah, and I think like you're saying, it's just like when I'm a programmer and I know I have in my head how I kind of want this to work and how I want the paradigms to kind of be put in place. I think being able to control that. You're making sure again, like anytime it's actually done the writing of the code for me, it's been very good at that.
Yeah.
But the problem normally comes when it's gone off its beaten path and it's hallucinated, or you didn't give it enough of a good prompt. This is helping me do that by just allowing me to get it done, and you can ask, and it should be this ideation phase. It should be this talking, this back and forth. And yeah, I find AI is great for that because it'll go off and think about these things. Oh, okay, that is a good idea, but no, wait, can we modify this a little bit? So yeah, we'll see where we get to today. But that's kind of where we're at now. I don't know if there's anything else I can share. So again, starting this project, what I started with was the problem and what we're trying to solve for developers. So I've started by creating what my top level API should be. Like, hey, how are developers going to interface with this DSL, and how are developers going to create games using this kind of context? And then from there, I'll then use Claude to be like, hey, this is what I want it to look like at top level. How do we get there through programming this framework?
Yeah.
Which I think might be backwards to some people, but I am working in DevRel and working in positions where you want to make sure things are as easy as possible for developers to pick up and understand and create things with. The developer API and that surface level API is probably one of the most important things.
Yes.
So I think I wanted to start with that definition first and then go back. So I think this is where at the moment we're not seeing too much. But, the day will come when we'll start building these composition layers very quickly, and we'll be able to build these menus very quickly with AI, and the whole system should just be set up. I don't know whether there's anything else we want to go through. Any more questions? Just going to read through some of my docs and see.
I was going to ask a very high level thing. When you keep saying paradigm, what is it? How would you define a paradigm in regards to this? Like, what does that mean at a development standpoint? Obviously,
So,
talk about frameworks and paradigms and different levels.
yeah, but me from, and I don't know if that's the right word, but for me, it's like my thought process. Like, what is my thinking when I create something? And I think this is something that Compose has done so well for Android. Is like your thought patterns through composition, hoisting of data, and building like reusable components. So I think it is like, hey, what's the paradigm that you can give to these agents or to other programmers to help them build healthy code?
Yeah.
So that's where you say, like, again, the paradigm is components, composition, system, and life cycles. And then from there, I believe I will be able to program, games very simply, and I'll be able to do it and follow it through modularly and granularly, and then thus making it more easy for AIs to build this.
Yeah, so it's like it's custom designed so that human and an LLM can effectively collaborate more efficiently on it, as opposed to they're not more old fashioned way of doing it, which is designed for people to understand. This is designed for both you, the creator, and an LLM to understand what's happening.
Yeah. Okay, so it's still going with the roadmap, which is good. Still thinking. Yeah, I think for me, just being able to design these things, I think after using Unity, Godot, and all these game engines for so long, it becomes very object orientated. You either get these classes that are huge in terms of all the functionalities in one place, and or you have to learn that tool set in order to do something.
Yeah.
So even though, like, I know as a programmer, I know how physics work, and I know how to play controller kind of works under the hood, but then to work out how to do that within Unreal or some other engine just becomes a new thing I've got to learn. And it's just like, but like, if I can kind of do this pretty easily in C, I'd love to, but never going to build my own renderer. And these are what game engines are so good at doing, and they have all that logic, but for me, I feel like it's the composition of building these game scenes that is hard. So I guess, again, that's the problem I'm trying to solve. I'm trying to create a very easy framework and paradigm that we as programmers and these agents can use to really quickly build systems and state and composition. So again, I could be in a psychosis. But
presumably, I don't think so, because I think about it this way: is that so if you think about how LLMs are trained, they're based on existing projects and how code is written so far and historically. But actually, it's learned that's inherently a flawed way of approaching it, right? Because it is then imitating how a human
or an execution
writes and reads.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry. Let me.
Yeah, no, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That was a fast change. Oh my god, we moved to execute.
I didn't have much to review. I was just like, hey, these 5 things it needs to do. Okay, right, go do it.
You talk us through the process. We're on a stream here. You need to tell us before you go switching over to different things.
We're doing it. We're just doing it live.
We're just executing. We're just going. Got a plan. Yeah. So there's an inherent flaw in how LLM is doing it. And so you're trying to work out a way, or you have created a way that means that you're giving it permission to not basically just have to write for humans. You can actually change how you're creating the code and the processes at which you're doing it, because your paradigm basically breaks it down in a way that works more with an LLM rather than a human trying to read things.
That would be like a North Star, right? Is not only have I created something that's easy for me to create games, but I've actually made it easier for these LLMs to do this. So yeah. And for me, I think sometimes like having problems and being in a problem space like this is something I love doing in my own time. It's just crazy to think about, but like, okay, you have this idea, and these agents and these tools such as GSD really help me just get it out because you finish a long day at work and you're like, I can't. I just want to manage it. I want to manage my idea. I don't
Yeah.
actually have to do it. So I think this has made it really easy to sit on that management level and look after these agents as if they are, I guess, little bots and little workers. But yeah, I think with the right process, the right workflows, and GSD is a great example of this, that you can do this.
Another thing is, so this comment here that we got earlier that we didn't understand.
He's talking about the
Talking about
developer.
Lex.
It's his code name, right, or his handle.
Well, I didn't realize that because I thought kind of on GitHub it's Glitter Cowboy. But yeah, so I think on his Instagram and stuff like that, he is Tasha's or Tasha's. So now I understand. It seemed like it was alluding to your mustache, which is a glorious mustache. But it wasn't. It was like that. So
yes.
We got.
But I completely agree with Cully. I don't know who's there or still who's left on the stream, but yeah, 100% agree with them. This GSD is just really, really something powerful.
I love it. I'm not a developer, but it's still, even for me looking at it since you showed me it, it makes sense how to do it, and I think it could make it. I think it's going to result in better software, more maintainable software, more reliable software going through this process like this. Whereas
I would hope, because I don't know where they're studying. I hate saying things without like being able to build the document or what. But I swear I was looking at something and they were saying like the more you use AI for your projects or your programs, like there comes a certain point, like 70-80% mark, that's just like they just kind of break down. I think they were saying like, hey, there's only so much they can go. But I think that's the whole thing. And why I love this tool is it breaks down the context, really small, really granular. And it's your responsibility as the programmer and the person talking to it to be helping it make the right decisions and go in the way that you want something built. I would hope that we don't fall into that project when we get there. And from some of the projects I've been building, I've not found that so far. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think it's all everything's changing all the time, and these things make a big difference. But it's I think that we're all still learning about these tools. Some people think that they can just get to 100% with ease doing because the first 10%, 20% is like magic. And then it gets harder and harder.
Yeah. I mean, how many times did I have calls with you and just be like, oh, hey, it's amazing. Like, I've done all this. And then the next day, I'm literally like breaking down because I just can't fix it. And there's so much code. It kind of becomes like, every time you move to a new team and you have a whole new code base that you need to understand. It's kind of like doing that every single time because it puts so much out so quickly that it becomes very hard to be doing these things. And again, I think a slower process and a more informed process like this allows you to be creating these things. And again, I like it because I feel like it can create a very ambitious project right now. Yeah. And just, hey, I agree with the decision we're making as a programmer, and I agree that it gets us to our big milestone. Okay, let's go do that. But it's just building, and I think we'll see what it builds. But I'm curious, at any point did we put anything? So I don't have anything in Visual Studio to quickly build and run and test it.
Can we solve that quickly?
Maybe not quickly, but this is.
So what I mean by in the next 37 minutes, can we find something to test it with?
Yes. So what you can do, and I'll do it after I've understood, because it's going to ask us like, "Hey, validate this," and I'm like, "How are we validating it, bro?" So I think there's basically an insert phase. So let's say you've done some of this planning, and hey, we have 8 phases that we're going to go and do. And then you go, wait, no, we've got to this part, and I was very naive in this implementation. And actually, it's way bigger than just 3 steps.
Yeah.
So you can insert phases and go, actually, I really think we should be looking at this next before we go into the next problem, before we do something. So I think after this, we can, if it doesn't build it, we can insert a phase to basically just build, basically compile things so that we can see it working. And then I think what we should just see is we should just see some fake frames being put in. And then, yeah, we have another phase after this, which I think is going to look really good, but I don't think we have time for it, I guess. But yeah, I guess just to share this when we finish it.
Our plan is to do regular streams going through stuff, so we can anything that we
I would hope
eventually we can show in future. And
okay, so it's created a CMake target. So I think I might just have to say, let's see what its verification is. It might go, hey, you need to verify this, and I'm like, hey, can you make it easy by going and creating something in Visual Studio so I can press F5?
Or these go like even if it doesn't make something, could go find something potentially. It could surely there be something out there that you could find as like a sample, thingamajig.
But yeah, what we should find after this is we should just have some debug and printing out just saying it's running at 60 FPS.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem much, I'm sorry. But this this is quite, I'd say it's a very complex problem, so hopefully in a couple of streams when we actually start seeing the composition layers come together, you'll be like, oh. And then we'll actually start seeing like the app creations, and we'll see a menu screen, and we'll see a settings screen, and we'll get to that. But yeah, I think we have a very ambitious project that I have insight of, and we'll see how it goes.
And the whole point of these is we want to just kind of build in public in a very like as you're learning and using these things and developing your paradigm, we're going to show how you use that day to day and how, as a 15-year developer who's worked at many companies, including Google, it's something that, this is showing how you use this and how you can, it's not about just having like something within a few seconds. It's about getting something genuinely good that was made faster and easier by using LLMs and by using the framework, by using GSD, using your paradigm.
Yeah. So I think we'll get there. I don't have any concerns about getting there. But again, like they're working a full-time job. There might be weeks where I've not really touched this project, and because everything's been detailed out through this tool, I'm like, oh, I know exactly where to pick up from. All I do is GSD resume work.
Yes.
Like, it becomes that simple. And then it's not a case of like, hey, my mind is preoccupied with doing all these things. But I mean, look at this. Like, it's just done 12 tasks. Where's my mouse gone? So yeah, 12 out of 12 tasks it's just built. So
yeah.
Again, we might not be seeing much, but it's just put a lot of stuff together. So.
And because because of the research and planning phase, you can be confident that it's doing what you wanted it to do, rather than going off and deleting massive things or things like that. You can't within reason, obviously. Not saying more so than if you just did it all in one prompt.
I don't. For some reason, it's put the fake engine in examples, and I'm like, fake engine should be. Inside.
I think the CELS thing has confused it. I think it doesn't seem to understand. Maybe in future we need to give it more context of what CELS is. I don't know.
No. Well, that's the point. Is building it.
Wow.
We'll see. I mean, again, I might just say. Demo position. Okay.
Again, any questions for Luke? Put them in the comments. It doesn't have to be about this. It could be personal. It could be about just his mustache or decor, anything. Like, subscribe. We are going to do this regularly, so if you're on Discord or YouTube, then subscribe. Hopefully you can join us in future and see how this develops and follow the journey as you kind of, see the long-term fruits of what we're doing right now.
There's a cat.
There's a cat. Oh, okay. I was looking at the code for some reason, looking at it, looking for something about cats. Oh no, I'd like to apologise to our viewers for what they just saw.
Oh no, you didn't, did you?
It was the a cat's arsehole is what we just showed. This I don't know how we. This stream is no longer safe for work. Which is why it's on a Sunday. Oh no, it's a Sunday evening because you're in Portland. So to you, it's currently 3:30.
3:30.
For me, it's 11:30 evening.
Okay, come on, Kitty. She's got a bed right next to me. Well, you've swore enough on the stream anyway, so I don't think we're going on.
Hang on. You're using a framework called Get Shit Done. We had the Get Shit Done founder jump in the chat as well. I'm not sure cat's arsehole is going to be the. I don't know.
We'll see, mate. We'll see. Hey, stop it. We'll see.
Me or the cat?
Yeah.
What's the name of the cat, by the way? What's for everyone watching?
Little bug.
Bug.
Okay, so it's saying we can come to this workspace. Press F5. And what did we get?
It's exited with code 0.
So. Oh, okay. So. Oh, I think it limited it to 30 frames. How many did it do? So the max frames were set to 300. So let's. Yeah, never do. So we should see in the terminal now. Okay. Can we just not have no max frames? No. Yeah, because we said we meant to use the escape key, right?
Yes.
We want no max frame count. We should be listening for the escape key to no data has changed. Actually, I think we have something way more debuggable than I thought we'd have. So this is nicely closing in. But so I'm making it so we're not going to 60 frames. But what we're doing is we're printing out the state every time our frames go through. So later on, once we start getting this set up, is we can start changing this. So we've got a demo state, and then it's telling us the state every time, and it's been printed out. So what we should find. I mean, it created this. What's this?
Nope.
No. I'm still working on my hotkeys.
Oh, I see. That wasn't that was a problem with
it.
the code. That was just you closing things. Got you.
Yes. Okay, so it does start the context. So apparently there's a demo. There's a demo entity. There's a demo system. Okay, so I press escape and then it stops.
Nice.
say it again. So not not much, but what we're seeing through this loop, so we can see the demo position every time it moves. So I think if we look at, we're faking our game logic, we're faking our frames. So what's happening? So you have this demo move system that happens on update. And then, yeah, you're saying every 60 frames print, and it moves it slowly. Right. So basically, every time we get the update frame that happens, it's going to move 0.1, and then every 60 frames, which is what we see just saw there, every 60 frames, it's going to go and print its position. So you can see all in all, it's moved 18.1.
Yep.
So what we can now see is we can actually now see that our systems, our states are working. And then, yeah, we'll see here. So we've got a demo. We create our demo, and we'll have a demo state. We'll have a register system, and we'll have an entity, and this entity is a component. So later on, we should just be writing code that looks exactly like this, where we're creating systems, we're creating states, entities, and components. We're creating CELS, right?
Yep.
So the fact that this all works in all kind of shows me that this DSL that we've been creating kind of works, because, hey, I've just been able to create these 3 states. I've been able to set a state, I've been able to register a system, and I've been able to create an entity. And then the engine itself is aware of that. So when we just start running things through the frames, all my systems are running, and then it's interfacing with the components and the entities exactly the way we want it.
Nice. So we're on the review point at this point.
That was pretty much the review, right? Like there are some things I would change around this, but in terms of implementation, it's enough for us to see everything working,
Yep. Nice.
Yeah, so that's kind of it. So I think for this demo, we've just created essentially a fake game engine that's simulating 60 frame rates a second. We have keyboard input for doing escapes, and then this DSL library interface, framework, whatever we want to call it, we can now see working. So yeah, we've been able to just create this demo, create our state, create our system. We're saying update the position, on our update functions. So then if we come to the system itself, then we just showed this somewhere up here. So we've got the position, component type. So what is position? Position's made up of X and Y. Demo state, what's demo state up? It's made up of a frame count so that we know what frame we're on.
Yep.
And actually, I'm really happy with that. Not 100% there, but I'm actually really happy with that. Like, so hopefully this is the start of CELS.
Yes, I mean it is the start of CELS. You've just started it.
Yes. I kind of like look at that and saying that like a very complicated thing to say. I'm going to create a C DSL framework.
Yep.
So that we can make it easier for programmers and agents to build gameplay and build applications. And we are correctly updating state. We are defining state. We are creating entities and our components. And yeah, very, very, very close to my original idea. So I then need to go back and iterate a little bit with it, but that's it.
That's it. So for context and to wrap up a little bit then, so how will we in future build on what we've done today? How will this then feed into things in the future?
So I guess like a long-term plan, right?
Yep.
Because I don't know how long it's going to take to get there and anything. But the long-term plan is that I would be able to build, let's say, a scene that has basically a player controller, a player systems, player health, and I can write that once in C using CELS, and then we might be able to see it running in Godot and Unreal, and you're seeing both of those same things working and running there. But again, it's just like, okay, let's say I have an idea for an application. Like you and many others, like, hey, I really want to write this app. I can say, like, hey, I have a really quick paradigm for creating apps. So
Yeah.
you can use it for a 2D app as well. So I think the main plan, maybe like the next accomplishable goal, will be to build UI, so that we can build UI and see very similar to Nick Baker's Clay engine or Clay framework, which is very similar to this, but it's just defined for UI.
Yep.
That you could use, that you could essentially use this system to build UI. We'll have a button, and then we'll be able to render it. And again, that rendering is agnostic to anything. So I still like using SDL3, so I could use SDL3 in order to render my buttons,
Yep.
and from there you can click it. So yeah, I think that would be the next outcome. Is would have an app where you're not just in a terminal, but you can see visually a UI, and you can click components, and you can see this kind of DSL interface coming along.
Cool. Nice.
Awesome.
Well, I don't think there's any more questions coming into from the chat right now, so I think we can call it time there. But thank you very much, everyone who is watching currently or before. Like I said, subscribe so you catch these in the future and see basically what this is just watching the insights from Luke's brilliant brain flowing out in live thing, which is one of my favorite pastimes. I assume other people enjoy that as well. I could sit and listen to Luke talk for days.
It depends on the topic, but
if you want to keep hearing his thoughts, subscribe, join us again. We'll do this. And if you have any suggestions for better times, because obviously doing it Sunday afternoon, Sunday night right now, we'll have a look at different times and work out if we want this to be as useful as possible. So thank you very much. Any parting words, Luke?
No, thank you. Thank you for the questions and the people that have been on board. And I guess I got validation that I'm not in a psychosis because nobody said too much. But hey, well, just in my own echo chamber. But again, we've just seen from that demo, we've been able to set state, system, entities, and components. So technically, CELS is working.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see.
It works. You're a genius. See you next time.
We'll see. Yes, thank you very much.
Bye. Do you want to wave, or is that too tacky to wave at the end of it? Is it weird to wave at the end of it?
Little.
Nah, a cool salute. Fair enough.
Ciao.